very real issue. You know, it really is a very real issue. We changed the prayers, and they're good changes. But it's scary because the only instruction that Murshid ever gave was, whatever you do, don't change my words. And everybody changes words, including myself.
Then why worry about the words, or, you know, why worry about the words that much?
There's a difference between the mantric phrases and just commentaries and words. The words that we were talking about not changing were the phrases that, at least theoretically, came down as revelation. So even though, for example, the whole Bible, let's say, is revelation, there are certain aspects of it that are more revelation than others. There are certain sounds that if you work with those sounds will produce effects. And the effects are profound and spiritual. Now there are comments about those sounds. Like I could write something and say, you know, this is my experience when I did this. And if you want to change my words, that's okay, but the phrase itself we should not change. And every prophet, without exception, every woman or man who reached that state of awareness gave certain phrases to awaken the people of that time. Those phrases have certain mystical power. And we can modify them, but I don't believe that changing them is wise. That's my experience. If you want to change them,
I believe there's a difference between sounds that carry meaning themselves and words.
Right, these are the sounds. I mean, Swami Ramdas, Papa Ramdas, did an interesting thing. He took two of the sounds and put them together. There was Sri Ram Jai and JJ Ram, which the next dance we're going to do, so this is kind of an introduction. And the mantra Om. And he put the two together and said, no, say Om Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai. Completely changed. Changed the rhythm and changed the effect. But he took two mantras and didn't change the mantras. He just joined them. And that's kind of an interesting process. But what Merchant Sam was talking about was don't change the mantra. Don't change the mantra, which, as I said, is very odd because at some point he or somebody did. Because it doesn't sound like anything else, some of these ones that he did. Okay.
I have a really tiny question.
Yeah.
I was wondering why you say towards the one rather than toward.
This is a huge question. I think because I like to get in trouble. The real reason I say towards the one is because that's what the night comes. I figure he can say it, I can say it. There is, according to some people, absolutely no difference between toward and towards, grammatically. There used to be, but in usage now there really isn't. It hasn't been for 100 years. Personally, I like the sound. I like the S. It's not as hard as toward the one. And so it makes me a little more conscious. But I have no inclination to subject that to anybody else. Both are certainly accepted. In Pure Alliance, but most toward the one. That's what seems to be what's in usage now. But I just figured if the guy used it, maybe we should find out what it feels like. So I've only been doing it for about a year. And it has a different feeling.
Can you say anything about how we know that it's not how to use towards?
Yeah, because all of the Marids that I knew who were his Marids said he said towards the one. And changed after he died. Now, you can always find a Marid who'll say he said the opposite.
I just think about the written material as well, which was written then as well.
The written material was not written. The written material was written over the years from the written material that was written then. You know, that's what we hear.
Stuff that was written, you know, like the Tensubi thoughts.
Yeah, the Tensubi thoughts were changed. Yeah, everything was changed. Right, right. There were many more, but even the original, it's all been changed. That's what Sharif is doing is a wonderful thing. Sharif is really going back to his original source as he can. And even that, of course, it's the way they used to get that information. Maybe you don't notice. They had 3 people writing down every talk that he gave. At the end of the talk, if there really were 3 who did it, which there weren't always, at the end of the talk, the 3 would come together and meet. And they would decide which he was saying. He did not edit them afterwards. He didn't go back and say, okay, let me see if this is what I said or if this is what I meant. The ones that are pretty much unchanged are the ones that he wrote, which were Raza Shastra education. Those were not talks, those were things that he wrote. And even those have changed some. Well, you know, the Gayan, that one, it's not that it was changed, it's that he would take the same saying, Murshid, and say it differently. So there are some things that he'd say one day one way and one day another. So, you know, it's a human being, he wasn't a machine. So all of that has many possibilities too. And look, I changed the Zerai. You know, I changed it to make it gender inclusive, changed the whole meaning. Everything originally was all he. And then you change, I mean, I've changed stuff to one. And really, what I'd love to change stuff to is the much more personal. I wish a lot of the readings said you and me, because that really is, you know, what it's about. But I still stay up, I literally stay up some nights because I'm worried about the fact that I changed the Zerai. And yet, it had to change. You couldn't have all this he. It just didn't make sense anymore. But it's... My mystics never have to rehearse. No cue cards, no problem.